Right. Hello, everybody. I am so nervous to do this stream. This is ridiculous. England. Wow. This channel has been on a journey with England over the last few years. And wow, I mean, we're here. We're at a final. We're at another final. And we're about to break down how difficult this game is going to be, how hard it's going to be to stop Spain, but how we can do it. We're going to have to really suffer, I think, in this game, but weirdly suffer with assertiveness, suffer with positivity. And we're going to go through, again, I think in terms of the setup, I think we broadly know what the team is likely to be. But what are the changes that can get us over the line? I think the substitutes have been crucial in this tournament. They're going to be absolutely massive again. We'll head to the tactics board and go through that. But I think first things first, we're going to have to go through what is so impressive about this Spain team, who you need to stop, how you need to stop them, and actually, in terms of the players that I think will all be on the tip of the tongues of people out there in terms of who you have to stop. It's not just about those players, it's about the movement of other players and how you stop those guys as well. And Spain are a really, really impressive team. What I would say, can I just say, thank you so much for everyone who's been sent me lovely messages over the last couple of days, which is bizarre when I'm just getting to live my dream of being at these games. I'm not going to be at the final, and a lot of people have sent me stuff, go, oh, do you need this, do you need that? And you guys know how much you lot mean to me, so I just got to get it off my chest. Thank you so much for anyone that's messaged me. I'm not going to be at the final. I'm gonna watch it with my dad. Which hopefully means that I can sort of do something with you guys quicker, because again, I think with all of this, you guys know, anyone who's not been at these games, as outrageous as the games have been, it's about kind of who you're with. So I'm not going to be out there. So for anyone's kind of asking about that, I won't be out there. But it doesn't matter. It's just about hopefully enjoying the game and just get behind the bloody lads wherever you are, man. Let's do it. So. But sorry, last thing to say, I am not going to any of those games. You guys have given me the Bellingham moment and that semi-final moment. That doesn't happen if, we know how it works, right? It doesn't happen if I don't have an audience, and I don't have an audience if I don't have you lot. So I just want to say that. Right, okay, let's get into it. Lots to get through. We're going to talk about the build-up, how you kind of stop them, and then how England maybe need to approach this. And I think what will help with this video is it will probably help you watch the game with a better understanding and think that, okay, we're not getting destroyed here. We're just being smart, right? Let's go. So the thing that's really important to remember here is that obviously in the last game, in terms of the changes that will be made, Carvajal will most likely come in for Navas, and what's the other change? Lenormand will come in for Nacho. But I wouldn't be surprised if you saw Nacho. He is a final player. He's going to be, there could be a change there. But what we will see, I think, is this sort of and I'm going to use this word decoy a lot, this sort of decoy double pivot. And I think with a lot of the things that you'll be watching in this game when you're concerned as an England fan will be, are they hurting us here or not? And the thing to remember here is that there's two ways for us to play. There's going to be times where we need to kind of press, but we've got to be very, very careful about that. And there's times where you have a low block. So this double pivot, we'll talk about exactly how they kind of utilize this as a bit of a decoy to get the ball to the areas that they want to. But this is against France, who look to kind of press high. And I thought an interesting matchup actually in that game was Kante actually staying quite high on Rodri a lot of the game. Rodri is phenomenal. Is he the main threat? He's a threat. They've got so many, and we'll get into that. But this is against Georgia, so a very different kind of game. And I think what's interesting here is that if we were to play a low block or a mid block and not press, what will happen is it won't be a double pivot. Fabian Ruiz will be allowed to get higher up the pitch, and he will just go. They're a very, very positive team, Spain. Very sort of, they've kind of turned the dial a little bit in terms of how Spain play. I think what's been their strengths has kind of been their weakness as well, in terms of maybe being a bit ploddy at times. A lot more positive, a lot more direct, a lot more attacking in terms of putting bodies higher up the pitch. So if you play against a low block, this is how they'll set up and work up the pitch. But what's interesting about pressing a little bit higher up, and something that England have got to be super, super careful about, and how we're going to have to concentrate so well and make the right decisions at the right times. We are the underdogs in this one, and people can have a go at that if they want to, but I don't think it's fair, right? Spain have been brilliant. So why have they been so brilliant? This is a great example of it, where it's about moving the midfield a lot of the time. Can you displace players with the rotations that they have to give you the space that you want to then hurt the opposition? And Spain have been fantastic at doing this. As I said, Kante against Rodri, you think you're okay here. And I think Mbappe is an interesting talking point that we'll come back to, and how we don't have Mbappe, and that's not the end of the world. But again, here, I think you got, I want to say Tchouaméni is on him, or it might be, yeah, I think it's Tchouaméni. And Rabiot's much deeper. Dani Olmo's not in shot here. Yamal is not in shot here. Morata is not in shot here. There is a lot of space here, and they've dropped deep. And then they'll be able to move the ball over to the side, and they'll keep moving the ball, and they'll move the ball pretty quickly. As it makes its way back across, what they're looking to do here is create a bit of a lane here. And as you can see, from the depths of, and importantly, the body language, right? Rodri has got no interest in getting the ball, which is surprising, right? Same goes for Dani Olmo. He's not bothered either, because the idea is to move from side to side, have your fullback not too high, but kind of dragging that player out to create this channel. They want to play this channel here. And Yamal, in terms of stopping Yamal wants to get on the ball in these positions. So how do you do it? And how are you sort of careful in what you do as well? Because Yamal gets the ball. And again, it's not even about the person that's got the ball a lot of the time. What's really, really crucial is the space that they leave behind, or the space that they're then able to create. This team is so smart. So Yamal gets the ball in this area here, not out wide. Navas is making sure that it pulls certain players away, and Rabiot has to go with him. So Rabiot, instead of sitting in that position that he would like to, here, maybe, as part of that three, he's actually going and getting at them. And that's fine. But when it's Yamal who's in there, it then leads to space elsewhere. We move it along, the ball then goes over to the other side pretty quickly, because Yamal often takes it onto that left foot. And now all of a sudden, we think of those rotations again as well, and players that you expect to be in certain positions. Olmo is that 10. He's actually in Morata's position. Morata is in Olmo's position. Morata plays as a false 9 pretty regularly in terms of getting into that channel that we were talking about. And again, let me just show you that channel. It's sort of here. And it's about moving this midfield about to create that channel that you can play into. Rodri, who you would expect to be here, is actually where Ruiz is. We're going to talk about Ruiz. Rodri is actually maybe where Ruiz is. And again, there's these lovely triangles that they create, but just so much space. And again, from Rabiot, being that player that went and stepped up here, because of the pace of which they move the ball, he's now made his way over to this position here, and the sort of compactness of the team is now a bit of a problem. And Dani Olmo, who he might have thought might have been here or here, because he's gone and tried to be positive, which is fine, there's now loads of space for these two here. And Rabiot is it's going to be one pass and you're going to cut through them. Oh, it's going to be one pass and you'll be able to cut through them. That's something you've got to be careful for constantly. Let's keep it moving. Lots to get through here. Now, this is one where if you sort of drop that little bit deeper, as I said, Rodri and the positivity of this team, first of all, actually, let's do it a different way. Simon will come up very, very confident in terms of getting on the ball. And what you see here is now the French side can't press. And you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 against 2. Oh, against 2. And so again, positive, confident, and they know where each other are. Ruiz is allowed to go and keep and pin the opposition back. So it's very difficult to get out as an entire team as well, because you're trying to keep the pressure on at all times. Just a really good side. Laporte, positive with what he does, able to get around that too, and then play the ball higher up. And as you can see, Fabian Ruiz, he's not bothered about getting back really, which I guess is, you could say, is a bit of a weakness. And something that we can look to exploit. I think in transition there's an opportunity there, but you've got to be careful with it. And this is a team, as I say, that presses really, really well. So, well, they're a funny one. They press really well, but at the same time, the game against Germany had less possession. So it's about wriggling out of those spaces at times when they do look to be positive in their off-the-ball work. and then be able to get in behind because Rodri is just an absolute monster for him. Let's keep moving. This is really, really interesting. And here's a question for the comments. In terms of a pressing trigger, how will Spain set up? Because what you can see here, this is from the starting point of a goal kick, obviously. And Morata's really interesting here. What Morata does, let me change to the other one. What Morata does is he sort of curves his run. Nothing crazy new. And he stops that pass over to the left-hand side. And Dani Olmo, interestingly, doesn't press to Upamecano. They want to play the ball to Upamecano. Now, why do they want to do this? I think in the game against France, what they're concerned about is Theo Hernandez and Mbappe higher up the pitch. They don't want the ball finding its way to that left-hand side. So with England, there's the decision, is he going to play Trippier again? I think surely this is the one for Luke Shaw. And if that is the case, who is the pressing trigger for Spain? And how do they do that? I think the likelihood is either side, be it Stones or Gay, I think they're okay from that point of view. That second pass, I think Kyle Walker is both a defensive strength for us in terms of what he just generally brings, but on the ball, I don't think they feel like he's too impressive. And if they've been watching any of the games, they will have seen that, right? So I think another thing to keep an eye out will be this idea of allowing the ball to make its way to Kyle Walker, and Kyle Walker very well may be that pressing trigger. And with the switch that we'll talk about in a little bit in terms of how you hurt Spain, that's another reason why I think Kyle Walker on the ball is going to be absolutely crucial in this game for England, because I think he will be the player that they go and try and hurt, and get to in terms of being that trigger. But so, again, something to keep an eye out. And again, so positive, this team. They work down this side. And then this is the other thing that's going to make it really, really hard. And again, I'm going to go to this camera for this. What will happen, and could possibly happen, is it's going to be hard for us to get out. And that's where you hope that the confidence is as gently built. I think it's a huge game for someone like Kobbie Mainoo to get us out of those problems at times. Same for Phil Foden, same for Bellingham. But with a lot of players that are going to kind of come towards the ball, that is something that will allow them to look to make traps and press. So we have to have that individual ability to get out of those little problems. And that's something Southgate's got to work on, because if we come back to it, when it comes to, let's say, those long passes, this is a moment where, okay, look, they're pressing. Right, I'm going to have to play it long here. And again, something that is very un-Spain, but with Rodri, you just have that option, is that if you do play that ball long, and say that's Kane who's coming to get it, or Bellingham who's coming to get it, to try and break this press, the problem you've got is Rodri. Rodri can just sit there, and if you play a long ball, he's just going to munch it up like a big boy. So he's going to win his headers, and that's going to make life difficult. Look, what happens after that when the ball drops down, that's something that we can, and in this clip actually, France then get the ball and are able to work up the pitch. But Rodri, those long passes, there might be a few moments where we have to play that pass and we lose the ball. And again, it's going to be about getting the sort of shape right. Someone's asking me to answer them. Answer me, please. Jordan Alexander. Cheers, Jordan. Bumberclad. Bumber Allcott. Okay. What's the question? Sorry, what was the question you want me to answer? I can't see it, bro. Anyway, I'll come back to it if I see it, but try and do two things at once. So, forgive me. Let's keep moving. This is the final thing, I think, in terms of out of possession, where they are. This has been really impressive, where they are, when they see sort of a negative symptom, which is often, a pressing trigger by being, and by negative symptom, I mean sort of negative play in any way. It can be very, very... What's my favourite team? Queen's Park Rangers. Is that the question? Or England, if you want to do that as well. If you see that negative play, what's amazing is, look at the body language of this team. No hesitancy in terms of getting at the opposition. And what's so impressive here, and there's going to be these moments, and they do kind of create messages and therefore create anxiety to fans. And this is something you just don't normally see with Spain. And that's how they're that little bit different, is that desire to press, chest out, getting at them, and expect to see that. There's going to be a lot of things that aren't going to feel great. What a great example this one is. That's Rodri. Rodri's not that holding midfielder. They are not afraid. Again, chests out, and all these players going out, get at the opposition and make them have to play the ball backwards. So again, one thing I would say to you guys is, if we have to do that, if there are moments when we have to play backwards, I think playing through this Spain team is going to be really, really difficult. Really, really, really difficult. Okay. Sorry, I'm so nervous about this game. It's going to be hard. It's going to be really hard. And as I said, that's us going the whole way back. So again, defensively, what do we need to do to stop them? And I think, as I said before, sometimes when it's about the players that vacate certain spaces, be ready for that. And if the ball's in front of you, that's not the end of the world. That is not the end of the world. So this is, I think it's Nacho with the ball. And there's going to be moments where they have that. And this is where France fell down a little bit at times, and when they started to sort of be able to get through them. And us not having Mbappe, bizarrely, is a good thing for us. Okay? Because if we move it along, first of all, this pass, we generally don't want to see that. As little as possible. Navas is out wide here. So someone like Mbappe, who will likely be Phil Foden or Bellingham, we'll talk about that as well, because I think the left side or the right side of us, in terms of Bellingham being on that side or Foden being on that side, will be an interesting part of the game. But stopping that pass and maybe just being that little bit, stopping that passing lane, because Yamal likes the ball here. He likes to step in those areas. Yes, he can get it out wide here and he can put a great cross in. He's got that ability. Of course he has. When he gets the ball, you've got to be ready. You don't want him to turn. But I think in terms of displacing us as a team, we've got to be really switched on and not allow them to really play through as much as possible. Again, the concentration is going to be so crucial here. Here he gets the ball. And France are in a solid place, I think, overall. Can Mbappe be kind of ready for that pass or closer to him? Can there be more tenacity from Mbappe as well? Yes, but there wasn't. Theo Hernandez hasn't got totally sucked out. He's let him go. Yamal's gotten the ball, and he's gone into that space here. Now, the person that I think, first of all, can Mbappe do more? I think he can. I think that's going to be a big part of it for us. But the second thing I think was a mistake here, in my opinion, is Rabiot. And Rabiot, in terms of when to jump and if you jump, got to get that right. We've got to get that right in terms of our double pivot, because Dani Olmo is a fantastic player. And coming back to the space that Yamal has left, once Rabiot jumps, these players are so good, it makes life so hard for someone like Tchouaméni. If Rabiot stays where he is, you've got these two here, and you've got to, you know that he wants to play that pass into Dani Olmo, but if he doesn't, Yamal has played this pass, we're fine. He plays over there, should be okay. Plays over there, should be okay. You just do not want this pass to happen. But as soon as Rabiot steps forward, we're in trouble. We're in trouble? France are in trouble. And here we go. Because what happens is, Dani Olmo, these players are so intelligent, he can see the spaces there. So often, when a player comes out of a space, that space is the danger zone for me. And not stepping forward when it's not the right time is going to be crucial as well. Dani Olmo understands this. He moves it along. And now he's got the ball in a kind of similar, in a space that was vacated. I think if the ball's in front of us, we're doing an okay job. We've also got to be compact, and we don't want players getting the ball in those half spaces as well. And I think if we move this along, this is one where actually the goal comes from, because the ball goes wide to Navas. Navas, this is the other thing I think when you've got Carvajal, I think whoever plays left back, they're probably going to have to deal with him on their own, because Tchouaméni here, he had the option, especially when you've got 2-on-1 in terms of a cross coming in, and it's a header from the centre-back, and the ball drops to Olmo. And if you're being really harsh, he should have been tighter. He should have been that little bit tighter. So Dani Olmo is a huge threat. Huge threat for us. But Yamal is also there as well. So it's one where I think you leave these two to battle it out and get on with it. But you've got to stop Olmo. You've got to stop Yamal. And when Yamal's got the ball, you've got to think about Olmo. Because as brilliant as Yamal is, Yamal's great moments in this tournament, and I know this is dangerous, the guy's a joke, I know he's brilliant, they've come from him being here, putting a wonderful cross in, I think it was in the first game, or him getting to this area here, and obviously scoring that absolute screamer that he scored the other day. So if we can keep our shape well and concentrate, I think we've got a nice blend, and I think we've got forward players who've got a lot of work to put in. And that's where the substitutes are going to be absolutely crucial for England. Let's keep going. And obviously the goal comes from that. I'm not going to give you a fwap. The other thing is the left-hand side. A lot of people talking about the left-hand side, and I might be able to show you here. Here it is. The passing networks. It's a bit more down that left-hand side than it is on the right-hand side. That's because Yamal likes to move inside. And also you've got Nico Williams, who is going to stay wide, stay high generally, especially when Yamal gets the ball. And when Yamal comes that way, naturally, the sort of traffic goes that way, right? You're going to end up going that way. But also, again, this is one thing that they have over us massively is the chemistry. The chemistry of this team is really, really impressive. Bit pointless going through tactics. Luck, the only thing England have had and will probably get again. Cheers. Thanks for that. Thanks for the super chat. Christ. And this is a great example of another thing that we've got to be ready for. We've got to be careful. Again, players getting taken out of positions. Kante was worried about Rodri a lot of the game, and I get that. But in terms of Fabian Ruiz getting on the ball in that zone 14 that we talk about so often and having that much space, just can't happen. It can't happen. It's dangerous because it makes life very, very difficult. So we've got to get our shape right whilst being assertive and at times get into the ball. Fabian Ruiz and Nico Williams have a lovely chemistry about them. This is a great example of that. There's different ways that they play. Fabian Ruiz, who's kind of thought of as a defensive midfielder here and in this place and driving there, and actually you've got a bit of a triangle here, like most teams do, where those three together are very, very impressive. One thing I would say is, again, from Carvajal on one side, Cucurella on the other side. Kind of don't worry about Cucurella. I'm scared to say that. Obviously, they're all phenomenal footballers, but the concern, but also the desire of the opposition will be to get it to their best players, and that is Nico Williams and that is Ruiz on that left-hand side. So we've got to be ready for those two because Ruiz has been one of the players of the tournament for me. This is a great example of actually this is a little one-touch pass. When we talk about that chemistry, I think if it's England, we take a touch, we maybe play it safe. These two are always looking at each other, and he plays that pass in, and he plays it first time. And so we've got to be on it. We've got to be really switched on all the bloody time. This, I'm actually going to show you a little scrub the video of this because I think it's so interesting. Again, there's going to be moments you're going to wince. We're going to wince because they're defensively, we're looking to Germany. We're looking to get at them at times. He's okay. You think you're fine, and you think the pass is to there. But if I'm going to show you it here, just going to play it through. Everyone, you would all imagine, he's either plays the ball backwards or he plays it to Cucurella. If I move it along just slowly, look at that. That is, and they're able to get a shot on there. So there's going to be moments of difficulty. They're inevitable, utterly inevitable. Can we deal with it when it happens? Because these, again, fantastic players. Can we concentrate, bite down, suffer, hang in there, keep our shape, but get at them at the right times? Not be afraid, but be ready for a long, hard evening. I think that's what's going to happen here. And Nico Williams, just to show you there, the versatility of him. Here in those half spaces, you can see him. Here is the opposite. I think this is a goal maybe. Oh, no, sorry. This is a great header where there's a great save. But he actually then squares up a great fullback in Di Lorenzo and instead just drives and then gets a beautiful cross in with quality. So much quality in this team and a great mix between the width and those technical players in between as well. Now, I know I feel like I'll get to the possibilities and positives here, but I think we need to walk into this final with our eyes open. We are the underdogs, but we've got a good athletic group that I think have defended really diligently. Can we hurt them the other way as well, and how do we do that? Hopefully we're getting to that now. That's the beautiful cross that he puts in. So how do we get at them? How do we bloody get at the lads? One thing that I think Germany did really, really well, and there's nothing wrong with it. I don't think we're going to be able to go through them a lot of the time. We've got to be smart in transition, but there's a long pass to Havertz where can we stretch it, and when do we do that? And we're going to go to the tactics and the lineups in just a second. But this is a great example of maybe it's you take out some of the players through that. Is that Ivan Toney? Is that Ollie Watkins? Is that Harry Kane? All three, I think, can do this a little bit. But I think it's one of those ones where it's got to be in the plan to maybe go a little bit more direct at times. And I think with the Spain team, you can get them with some of those elements. But it needs to stick. And I think, again, it's one where if you see some of those long passes and they don't work out, there is a reason behind them, hopefully. And I think for England, Southgate said himself, 1 day less than them. And it's going to be about kind of walkthroughs and, okay, when you see this, can we play that? This is another great example of how narrow Spain are. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4. So where is the space? Space is here. The space is here. And obviously, you know, if you're going to try and play through, it's going to be difficult. So it's about kind of being smart. As I said, Germany had more possession than Spain in this game. But it's about finding those players you step in. But when you see players step in, something that has been of frustration for England fans is someone in behind. And again, I think the subs are going to play a big part in that. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something different from Southgate, which we'll talk about. So this is a great example where it's worked, where, you know, once they have pressed and we've got out of that, and maybe we have to go back to sort of restart, then can you make a little pass? This is one where Gundogan, I might be able to show it a bit better here. I know. Once the ball moves over to the side, Gundogan actually drops into this space here. And then if you think about it, and who is this going to be for England? I think these two, if we think of England, right? We think of, that's probably Bellingham. That's probably Foden, or vice versa, right? And with that narrowness, it's about making Cucurella think. And I think an early pass over to this side with a run in behind drags Cucurella. And even if it doesn't work out, and Cucurella then starts to be a bit careful because he wants to be ready for that switch, then that pass it over the top as well is another option for us. But we've got to kind of earn the right to be able to play those passes. Again, in terms of that space, I think crosses and utilising the width is going to be huge. Another question for the chat here. How does this look if this is England? If you think of the goal, this is the goal that they scored and it was a cross to the back post for France. And this is one where, in this instance, this is Koundé. So Koundé was quite high up. This is one of the few times he actually was able to kind of keep getting high up. I think if this is England, you're thinking that's Saka, aren't you? This is most likely to be Walker. This is most likely to be Mainu. This is most likely to be Rice, but could he be here? Stones. Okay, be over here. And I think Hernandez is actually over here. Kane. And then you've got Bellingham and Foden as those last two players. So one thing for Bellingham, I think Bellingham, there's two ways of doing this again, right? So if we take all of those away, let's say this is Foden or Bellingham, because I think they can interchange. Because I think what Foden's done really well is sort of drop deep and get on the ball, and he's helped out with Mainu a little bit. So it's been different. But I think there's going to be different moments when you want either in either pocket, which I'll explain. But one thing you could do, and again, it's about us being brave at the right times, is starting wide, maybe Foden, and then stepping into that to allow Luke Shaw to get on. Or there might be one where he actually comes and basically stands where the ref is, and Mbappe becomes Luke Shaw. Because if you can get crosses in, you can hurt them. So in the instance for this goal, and it's a bit of a safer option, so I wouldn't be surprised if this was the way that we would do it. It's whoever that is, Foden or Bellingham, staying here. Bit of support there, of course. And getting that great cross in to the back post. Back post part is where it's at, I think. I wouldn't be surprised. And that's why I actually like the idea of Bellingham at times on this right-hand side. And when we know that's the case, right, let's get that cross to the back post. Let that be Foden. Let that be Bellingham. Back post party. Whoop-de-doo. Could be Kane as well. He sort of drifts out here, but I just don't see him doing that because he'll stay a bit more central. So getting those crosses in is a great option for us. This is another example of the crosses. Back post party once again. Look at the body language of the Germans. Off they go. They are ready to attack that back post. It's Cucurella. I think they seem to want to target that little bit more. And they're able to get the header. This is actually where the goal comes from. And Verts, just imagine he's English for a second. And again, against Georgia, kind of on the break, you could see this being Saka if we're able to move the ball quickly. This is the wing back. But the thing that's crucial here is, like, there might be these moments. And again, look at the narrowness there. There will be that narrowness there. The space is out wide. But it's about knowing what each other are going to do. And I'm hoping that this is one where if that is Foden over on that left-hand side or Bellingham on that left-hand side, they've got enough in those legs to make those lung-bursting runs. But what's going to be crucial is, don't hesitate. Get that cross in. Get down the line. And this is I can't remember if this is the goal or not, but it comes from him getting a march on him on the back post. But that cross, no hesitations with that cross. Get it in there. And that's where, that nous of Harry Kane that we've not been able to see a lot of the time, that's where it could really come to fruition. Because I'll be honest, I would love to see Foden step up and Kane step up. They're the two that we've not really seen. I know Kane's got a few goals. Sorry, lads, if I've hurt some eardrums there. But that's it. It's got to be quick. It's quick and effective. It's got to be sort of slow build up, get to that width, then move. And those switches, I think if you've got Luke Shaw playing, you've got a real chance to sort of hurt the opposition. Let's talk about the team then, because I think defensively, and I've got the subs over on the right hand side here. I think I think he's going to bring Shaw in. I think now's time, and in terms of that calculated risk from the start of it, I think you've got to be very impressed with how it's played out. Obviously, a bit of fortune in that, but that's our boy. Our boy Southgate gets that a little bit of luck now and again. Okay. So, as I said, I think without the ball, what's really important is, yes, Rodri's crucial, and yes, Yamal's crucial, but it's the passes that they're allowed to make that I think is more crucial. And I think what we've seen and what we will see is this, especially without the ball. I think Saka will drop in. We'll go to that 5, that 3, or that 5, like we said before the Switzerland game. This is one of those ones where we need to be compact and clever. And I think we'll kind of go to a bit of a 4 here as well. Now, as I say, there's a discussion here. Do you have Bellingham on the right or Foden? And I don't really mind, but the fear I have, and this is where it comes to and this is what I like about us over France, is that I want this double pivot to sort of stay there, stay together, stay in line, stay compact with the 5 behind it. Don't let those spaces in between, because Yamal is gonna make his way into those half spaces. Olmo's got great movement as well. You've got Carvajal, who's inevitably going to move up the pitch as well. And so it's about stopping those passing lanes. Now, Kane, what can he do in terms of the work? And if he steps in here, honestly, that's not the end of the world. I know it looks defensive, and I get it. It is defensive. But this is Spain. They're really good. They're really, really good. I think Laporte will probably be this side. Am I right? Tell me if I'm wrong with that. Cucurella as well. We've seen the sort of triangles that we'll see there, right? Carvajal won't be the same thing. He will, a bit like Real Madrid, he will be that a bit higher up. But in terms of a sort of stopping them, but also stepping up at times, it's about Bellingham's got that ability to do that, but whilst remaining that, keeping that space for that too. Foden, similar thing. He's not Mbappe. He's got that energy to do it. Can these two do it for the whole game? I think that is why if we are to win this Euros, we are going to win it with the squad, not with that starting 11. And again, big decisions will need to be made. And you saw Bellingham was on his feet at the end. On his feet. But I like this idea of a 3 here, because it means that Saka can be that little bit more tenacious. And if Bellingham, if he drops in and Bellingham feels he can jump, it's one where Saka could maybe go here and then let Walker deal with Williams. But we're still okay. And let that 2 in the middle stay together. And if Rice has got to get across and Maine's got to come across, again, we've got someone like Bellingham who can drop in and do that for the team. Shaw and Carvajal, those two deal with each other. And if it comes over to this other side, you've got someone like Luke Shaw who can tuck in as well. And if they play those switches, fine. But it's about the players that you're sort of not as worried about. I think the players we are worried about is Olmo, Yamal. Morata will be very clever with his movement, but if a cross comes in and we can't deal with that, so be it. But keep them in front of us. Don't let them in these half spaces. And I think Foden and Bellingham have got so much work to do. Because that's the other thing I think about when I go back to that passing network of them. It's on the analyst. It's been fantastic, this, by the way. There's that space in behind Cucurella that you can go and hit. And again, with that narrowness, you can try and hit that. But I think with the 5 that we'll have at the back, pretty much, with Saka deep, I think that makes that ball really, really hard. So it then comes about kind of Foden, how quickly can you break? Bellingham, how quickly can you break? And I think, say Kane is able to get the ball. These are lung bursts. This is tough. These are tough runs to keep doing. I think there's going to be a lot of moments where can Foden stay out of it for a second longer to offer up that different run. And then the same, once we get over to that, when we've spoken about the crosses, Bellingham on that back post, I think could be great for us as well. But so when we're not going to be able to break, because Saka would naturally be that player if we can get him high, but we're not going to be able to get him high straight away once we win the ball. So it's about when we do get the ball, being calm, being patient, making those confident switches, because I don't think that pass is going to be on that often. If anything, that pass is going to come from Shaw. A bit, again, we look at France, it was the opposite way around. Dembele making that switch. Can Shaw make that switch? Or can we get Shaw to put that cross in as well? So, again, from this point, because I think this is where, there are going to be moments in the game where we play from this point. Otherwise, we'll work our way up the pitch. And we know how they'll set up. And that's good. If we can work our way up the pitch, then that's fine. Because they're further away from us as well. And that's where you can snap back at them if you do lose the ball. But this is where the substitutes, I think, will be really, really interesting. Because in terms of who you're going to take off and who you're going to bring on, when I think about it, and I know we've not seen him, but I don't think Southgate's not, I think he has his favourites and he has his big players. Femi, what a great super chat. 50% plus possession is key. I wish I could speak. Stay in the game, use the bench. Love that. Fucking love that. Adam Kang, big brain is Gallagher, tight on Rodri, Jude's second half. Well, this is it. I think we might see Gordon for Foden. Because I think if you bring Eze on for him, you're kind of still playing in the same spaces. Because the other thing is, if you make that run, you drag them back. And if you drag them back, you might give us that bit more space to breathe. I think Maine's got to get us out of problems at times in terms of his quick feet. Same with Foden, he'll drop deep at sometimes, but he needs to remember to stretch it for us as well. But I would I could really see Gordon on for Foden. Because those runs that he can make, if we are suffering, and that we are going to suffer, could be crucial. Watkins on for Kane or Tony on for Kane is a debate, but I think, again, in terms of that ability to stretch him behind as well as go forward, and I guess he would come on to him here. And I think there's obviously that talking point of should Kane start? Kane will start. And again, I think it's the energy levels of Foden and Bellingham are going to be massive here. And I don't know if Foden can get beyond as much as we would like him to, because that's a lot. The same with Bellingham, he can make those driving runs. But how do we do that and where do we win the ball? Maybe it's one if we were able to win the ball on that left-hand side, then it's one where Bellingham can go. And there could be an epic moment. But again, a bit of a wild card here. Could be, well, first of all, I don't want Gallagher for Mainu. I think Mainu plays the whole game. I don't want to see that. Because I think when we get the ball, we've got to keep the ball. And I think he would be better there. But if you think of Gallagher as he was at Crystal Palace, where you've got another guy who can jump and make that press, but we're not hurting that midfield two of Rice and Mainu, and a person who's got the lungs and the stamina to get in behind on the break if we need that, or to press high in certain areas, but we've still got that safety net behind. Gallagher could be really useful for us. Really, really useful for us. Another one I think it could be interesting as well is Bowen instead of Palmer. Just, again, for a similar reason. Maybe this is too many by this point. And he maybe likes Bowen ahead of Gordon for the similar idea of a guy who can score goals, who can run in behind, who'll do that work. Palmer, I think Palmer's wonderful, right? And I have no problems with him coming on. He's affected the game. He's made that killer pass. And maybe he will want to do that. And again, it's how the game plays out and how much do you want to change the game. But the subs are going to be crucial. Again, do you put Trent on to play that pass to Gordon and get him to stay that little bit higher up? These are all decisions that we fortunately have the quality to go and make. I do not see Walker coming off. I just don't see it. Do you do Tony if you just need the ball to stick that little bit more? But in terms of not having the ball, I think Watkins has got that bit more mobility just to work. And so I would, and I think he can win a few headers against these centre backs as well. So I think it would be more likely Watkins who would come on. But I would not, after everything, after all the screaming, Gordon to come on and score the winner would be incredible. Yeah. So, huge task. There's opportunities there. And, I think whatever happens, wow, we've got there. We've got to another final. I think that's something we should not take lightly. Not in the sense of like, do we deserve to be there or not? I think that's one thing. Let's be grateful. Let's be grateful that we're there. They are a really good team. But we're getting better and better. Come on. Come on, England. Good luck to any England fan, wherever you are. Score prediction. Kev Meach with a great point here. He said, I know we can play. That's the thing. I'm really struggling with the romance of wow, and then the narrative stories that keep popping into my head, and then the dreams that I have, and then my head. I think for the concentration, it's going to be gargantuan what we need to do, but I think we need to believe in what we can do and the players that we've got. Don't be afraid to use that bench. Go win it, man. Like, don't be afraid. Especially on the ball, don't be afraid. And just be sure when you do go, make sure you go. But when someone goes, make sure you're all ready for that movement. It's the areas of the pitch as much as the players on the pitch. That's going to be crucial for us. I'd love to see... I think it's going to be... Stop screaming, please, censor. Am I screaming? Sorry. Is it too loud? Am I... Okay. Am I streaking down the street if we win? Yes, I am. So this is what I think. Well, okay, here's my heart. My heart is... Eze. Eze 1-0 extra time. Lose my mind. I think it's a 1-0 game if we win it. I do. I think it's going to be tight, but it could be Kane's time. It could be Watkins' time. It could be Gordon's time. But yeah, I was thinking this is the one thing I'm going to finish with this. Just give it everything, lads. Give it absolutely everything. I will be live as soon as I can afterwards. Switch on, bite down, step up,